All right. And I'll say again, good noon, everybody. Welcome this week to Life Hacking 101. And I hope you all have had a wonderfully restorative and relaxing spring break. And we're back to action, right? So it's great to see all of you. So again, welcome back to, this is after spring break, we're all kind of fuzzy, right? We got to get back into the groove, right? So this week, with the Life Hacking 101 series, just a reminder, it is a collaboration between Student Life, Career Services, and the HCC libraries. So we've got a lot of people working in the background to bring you these amazing speakers. So today we have, our session is Budgeting Like a Boss with Micha'ela Warren, and she's here with us right now, and I'm just going to introduce her a little bit and then hand over the reins. So I'm excited to introduce Micha'ela. We've just been having a wonderful conversation here, and I hope that y'all ask her questions. She has so much information to share with you. Ms. Warren assists young adults with navigating through their adulting journey. Over the years, she's accumulated 1.5 years working in accounting, 2 years in banking, and that all includes things like opening bank accounts, processing credit card and loan applications, advising thousands of people on how to manage their finances, correlating directly with her brand. Through her ebooks, one-on-one coaching calls, and over 25 published blog posts, she seeks to teach and instill life-changing skills and behaviors that will lead to financial maturity and aid millennials and Generation Z in venturing out on their own. So without any further ado, I'm excited to turn over the reins to Micha'ela Warren. Welcome, Micha'ela. We are so excited to have you here.
Hello. Good. I would say good morning, but good afternoon, HCC. We just passed, noon o'clock. So I hope you guys are feeling great. I hope that you are excited. I really wanted to bring this presentation to you. Something that's really important in regards to your finances. It's kind of the basis of everything else. I just wanted to pause really quickly to make sure I have my speaker up correctly. One moment.
And while you're pausing, I did just want to let everybody know, Micha'ela is very comfortable with the chat. So if you have questions or comments throughout, we absolutely welcome engagement. Just go ahead and pop things into the chat and she'll tackle them as they come.
Okay, perfect. Yes, please do not be afraid to use that chat box. I'm keeping an eye on it. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions or anything like that, just let me know. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So my story is very simple. Among my family and friends, I'm known as a person who is obsessed with adulting, obsessed with finances, but I wasn't always this way. I can think back to when I was in community college about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was actually really bad with money. Wasn't making a lot of money. I wasn't managing it well. As fast as my money came into my bank account, it was leaving. And I had to take a hard look at my habits, my mindset, and just what was going on to be able to reach some goals. So fast forward, I had made a decision that I wanted to save up and move out on my own. And by changing some habits, by setting a budget and saving up, I was able to accumulate over $10,000 in my savings account by working what's called a low income job and move into my first luxury Houston apartment. So just to let you guys know, it actually doesn't take a lot of money to reach your goals. Sometimes you can do a lot with a little, as long as you're being very strategic. So we're going to dive deep into some of those habits and practices that are super important for you guys to reach your goals. All right, so let's go ahead and just start with what budgeting means. I want you to kind of drop in the chat. When you hear the word budgeting, what do you think of? I know when I was younger, if my mom said we're going on a budget, that meant I couldn't have any extra snacks. We couldn't go to the toy store, and that, some things that we enjoyed in life are going to be cut back. So some budgeting myths are that it's too restrictive. You're on a budget. It's telling me what to do, and that it's really boring. But to tell you guys the truth, budgeting is actually just telling your money where you want it to go. And the simple definition is creating an accurate financial plan for the future, anticipating all sources of income and all expected expenditures, so money going out, to avoid debt and reach financial growth. So it's really just coming up with a plan and just kind of anticipating the things that life throw at us that we may not be prepared for. So we're going to go over a few statistics. These are very recent, actually, 2020 and beyond. It's actually from Intuit.com. You guys may be familiar with this institution. So the first one is in 2020, 64% of American households said they would pay for an unexpected $400 expense with cash, savings, or a credit card. 18% of workers earning a salary greater than $100,000 are living paycheck to paycheck. So just to give you guys a backstory, those types of people are called Henrys. They are high income earners, not rich yet is what they call it. So making a lot of money, but as fast as the money is coming in, they're also spending it. And so it just creates a cycle where you don't have any savings. You really don't have money for a rainy day, but you are earning a lot of money. And we're going to talk about why that may be, how you can kind of fall into those traps, and of course, more importantly, how you can avoid those traps. 59% of adults in the US admitted to living paycheck to paycheck in 2019. And as of August 2020, 21% of US adults had no emergency savings. So pretty scary statistics. But like I said, today we're going to establish a plan of action. By the time we're done with this presentation, I want you guys to be so confident with money that you can go tell your friends, your family, and hopefully, teach them some of the things that you have learned and just lead by example in a way of managing your money very responsibly.
Micha'ela, I'm sorry to interrupt here. Did you want to share your screen?
Oh, yes, I thought I was sharing. I'm so sorry.
Perfect. No worries. I just wanted to make sure we're not.
Okay,
missing it.
Let's go ahead and go back. Okay, perfect. Here we are. Are you able to see the screen now?
It's working on it.
Okay.
Yes. Yes,
Perfect.
we are.
And
Thank
then
you.
I'll go ahead and pull up the chat as well. Okay, great. Okay, this is kind of where we went through. So here we are. These were the statistics. And here. So these are some indicators that you would need to set a budget. One is if you're getting paid on Friday and waking up on Monday, not knowing where your money went. Now, I knew this feeling way too often of getting paid and then somehow on Monday, I don't know where I spent my money. I'm not sure how much I spent. I just knew that somehow I didn't have any more money. Making money, but never having the savings to show for it. So that's that whole concept of you're having money coming in, but then you're also spending it just as fast. And so you're just in a cycle of input and output. Next is a lack of emergency fund or 6 to 12 months save up. So if something happens to where you happen to lose a source of income or you're unable to work, just having that income and that money saved to where you're able to take care of yourself, at least bare minimum, for a period of time. Spending more than you make. And this is a huge one because what I like to say all the time is that if it doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense. The math, what we say these days, the math is not mathing. If the money that you're making is less than what you're spending, you're always going to be at a deficit. And then lastly is you may be at a point where you're not sure about how much income you have versus how much you're spending. So that's another one where you don't even have an idea. If someone asks you, hey, how much are you making currently? You're like, I don't even know. I just know I get paid and I know I spend money and, rinse and repeat. So these are some signs that you do need to budget. So the first thing we're going to do is just kind of sit and think where you are currently. So in order to figure out where you want to go, you have to identify where you are. Sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves and really assess why we haven't met our goals, how we're going to get there. And it just really starts with where you are and the type of habits that you have on a day-to-day basis. So the information that you would need to start budgeting are going to be, for example, your statements, which we're not going to go over today, That's personal, but I want you guys to go through your statements either later today, later this week, sometime when you're able to sit down quietly, print out your statements and where you are financially, go through and just see where you are. No judgment, give yourself grace, and just go ahead and assess the current situation. So this is exactly what I did years ago when I discovered that I was spending over $700 a month on fast food and just eating out, enjoying life, and I didn't have any savings. I sat down, I printed all my statements, I went through and highlighted and tallied up, and then I said, wow, this is what I'm doing with my money. No wonder I'm unable to reach my goals. The second thing you're going to need is to actually establish some goals. So figuring out what it is that you want. And the thing about finances is it's super personal. No one can really tell you what's more important for you. There are people who value traveling. There are people who value shopping. And so you have to figure out, hey, what is it that I want for my life? What type of lifestyle do I want to live? Where do I want to live? Would I like to have a house? What about a family? And so if you can map out your goals, you can align your finances to match that. And that'll kind of tell you how much you need to save up for, or, you know, what you can cut back on to reach the goals that are actually most important to you. So the third is going to be your why. That's going to be the thing that, for one, gets you out of bed every morning, right? Because, for example, when you're in college, there are assignments that you may not want to do, but you understand that you're in school to get a better education so that you can have a better career. And so that is your why. When there's a paper due at 11:59 and you don't want to work on it, you think, hey, this is going to pay off for me. When I graduate, things are going to be a lot better. And so I have to do the things that I don't want to do right now so that I can do the things that I want to do in the future. So identify what your why is. Identify the thing that's going to help you make the decisions day to day, because in the world, there's a lot of consumerism and a lot of things that are fighting for your attention. There's advertisements literally on everything, on YouTube, when you're driving, around campus, around everywhere you go. There are places that are wanting you to spend, you know, your money with them. And so there has to be a bigger why that you're able to remember when you're deciding if you should be spending money in that category or if you should be allocating your funds to that. So my why, for example, was that I knew at 19 that I wanted to live on my own. For whatever reason, I wanted an apartment, I wanted to move out, and it had always been a dream of mine. So, you know, when I had to make decisions on, hey, should I go shopping right now? I thought in the back of my mind, no, I have a bigger goal. Shopping in malls, they're going to always be there. But this goal in front of me, I'm trying to accomplish it. So you have to figure out what it is that you're going to be working so hard for, and just always keep that in the back of your mind. And then lastly, it's going to be the plan of action. So the plan of action is actually your budget. Like we discussed, a budget is a plan for your finances. So this comes with listing everything out and going over your budget. So let's get into it. There are two main types of budgeting. You may have heard of what's called the 50-30-20 rule, and then also the zero-based budget. So the 50-30-20 rule, we're going to go ahead and go over it. Okay, so 50% of your income would go towards your needs. These are the things that you literally cannot live without. We need shelter, we need a roof over our head, we need a way to get from A to B, insurance, groceries, healthcare, utilities. And so those are going to be your needs. And then on the other hand, the other 50% of your income is going to go towards your wants and then your future goals. So wants could be anything like eating out. That's where I was spending a lot of my money at one point. Going out with friends, maybe some things that you need around the house. You want to redo your room, you want to redecorate. And so those things are going to go into your wants because they're not necessarily needs. Sometimes we battle it within ourselves on what's needed and what's wanted. And we say, no, I need that new outfit. I need a trip right now. And so you just have to be really real with yourself about what is your concrete wants versus needs. And then also, of course, we have those electronics that we like. We have the new PS5 that just came out. And so that would go into your 30% category. Lastly is going to be your 20%. Of course, we want to live in the now. We want to enjoy ourselves. But you always want to be planning for your future as well. So the 20% is going towards paying down your debt, building up your savings, and then of course, investing later down the line as well. The other type of budgeting is going to be called zero-based budgeting. Sounds a little bit complicated, and it also kind of sounds like the concept where you have income coming in and then you're spending every dollar that's going out. But it's a little bit different in the way that you're just allocating every part of your income towards a certain category, including your savings, including your debt payoff, including your investment, to where every dollar has a purpose. There's not a point at the end of the month where you say, I have extra money left over and I don't know what to do with it. So it's just about being really intentional with where you are on your budget. Do you guys have any questions so far? If you do, please let me know. Have you guys heard of any of these options for budgeting? I will say I've used both. Don't really have a preference, but right now I am using zero-based budgeting. That's been my new fave. But both of them work absolutely perfect. Zero-based, awesome, awesome. I've heard of zero-based, great. All right, so we did talk briefly about needs and wants, but I just wanted to dive deep because that's really going to be the determining factor of how you are budgeting. All right. So when building your budget, you really want to start with your needs. It's going to be things like your mortgage and rent, food, insurance, gas, electricity, transportation, the things that you absolutely need to survive versus your wants, entertainment, shopping, traveling, and possibly eating out. So we're going to go through a few methods of budgeting. We have some kind of traditional ways, which can be handwritten, Excel sheet, envelope method. And then of course we have our digital options. If you're more of the digitally savvy person, then you may enjoy that. So as far as handwritten, that's going to be something where you're bringing out a piece of paper and a pen, you're writing everything down, you're doing the math on paper, and just kind of figuring out where things add up. The second option is Excel sheet budget. Super straightforward. So you're listing out all of your expenses, the amounts, and then actually Excel has a feature where it's able to help you with addition, subtraction, and things of that sort, to where you're able to see how much money you have left over after your income when your expenses have been taken out. All right, next is going to be the envelope method. You guys may have seen this around, and it's gotten pretty popular over the last few years, to where, you know, people have been really creative with it. You can find envelope methods on Amazon. You can make them at home and kind of, you know, map out visually how you want to manage your finances. So this method allows you to control how much you spend with a visual representation. You literally will take out envelopes, label them with the spending categories. You're going to take out most of your money in cash and fill the envelopes with them, and then just live your life according to that. If you're going to the grocery store, you would take the grocery envelope with you, and you would only spend according to the envelope and how much you have in it. The big rule of thumb with envelope method is once the envelope is empty, you're going to stop spending. And so it's supposed to serve as a representation where you're saying, okay, this is my limit. And sometimes people need that representation dealing with digital money and debit cards, credit cards, things of that sort. Sometimes we can mindlessly spend. We can swipe our card and not actually feel like we spent any money. And so some people actually do prefer this method. This is another example of the envelope method. And next, we're going to talk about a couple of digital options. One is the Mint Intuit app. You guys may have heard of it. Pretty simple. It actually pairs with your bank account if you wanted to hook it up, and you're able to see how much income you have going in and then also everything going out. There's a feature on it where you're able to put things into categories. So just like the categories that we went over, sometimes the app is smart enough to decide and say, hey, okay, you spent money at Shell. I think this is gas, and put it in that category for you, or you're able to kind of adjust them manually, however you prefer. But It's a really good app to help you like towards your goals. I remember this is actually the first budgeting app that I started with back when I saved the 10,000. And to me, it was pretty easy because I used the feature that you guys see on the middle and to the right, where you have an amount that you're wanting to save for, and it just shows you over time how much you have towards that. So it just kind of like it's a visual reminder if you're not going to be having the cash out to see how far along you're actually going. The app cheers you on. It'll tell you you're doing a good job. It'll email you in the morning and say, hey, you're on track, keep going. And sometimes that's, just the words that we need to hear to be able to reach our financial goals. This one's really good. And then next is going to be the Every Dollar app. And that's actually the method that I'm currently using for budgeting. It's able to be accessed on any device. So either on your phone or your laptop. There's a free or paid version, extremely customizable, and then of course, user-friendly. So with that in mind, without any preference, we're gonna go ahead and just hop over. And I wanted to actually build a budget with you guys. So I'm gonna pop open my chat and we're just gonna work together to build an ideal budget. So I'm gonna need y'all's help to go ahead and fill this out. So this is gonna be just a clean slate for the budget. We have different categories here before we get started filling things in. Of course, at the top is going to be your income because this is the money that you're working with to fund your lifestyle. Most people do it with, as many paychecks as they have a month, or sometimes they'll do just one big paycheck at the top. It just depends on how you're getting paid and things of that sort and how you like to organize it. But also there is a giving section, savings, housing, transportation, food, lifestyle, insurance, and credit cards. So before we get started filling these in, I just wanted to check and see if you guys wanted to add any more categories. If you're just kind of taking a look, what other expenses do you guys have in your life that may not be in this list? Because we're going to just build a really ideal scenario so that you're able to see exactly how easy budgeting can be for you. Car maintenance. Oh, that's a really good one. Okay, let's go ahead and add that. That's things like a oil change, possibly getting your tires rotated, tuition books. Okay, I believe that would be possibly lifestyle, books, and supplies. Okay, cheer for your baby. All right, extracurricular. Perfect. Any other ones? Okay, perfect. Home repair. I would say that would go into housing. Awesome. All right, so this is your ideal person, okay? So we're gonna decide how much money this person is making a month. You guys throw some numbers out there and we're literally going to build a budget together based on that income. So let's see. $2,500, okay. 4,000, okay. I think 4,000 is a really good even number. So let's start with 2 paychecks, right? $2,000 a piece. And we're going to build out a budget for someone that's earning about $4,000. So as you can see, this is going to be a zero-based budget. Right now it shows all the income and it doesn't have any expenses yet because we haven't added them. And the way you want to build your budget is you actually want to start with the needs first. So we would go housing, transportation, food, and utilities. Okay, so let's say housing. I know we all live kind of in the Houston area. How much would you say rent would be realistically? And this could be either paying full rent or paying partial if you have a roommate. $1,700. Okay. 1,400. Okay, let's meet somewhere in the middle. 1,500. All right. So we have rent there. 1 bedroom, 1,000. Okay, cool. Next, we're going to be, let's go ahead and take care of water. Water is typically, for a young adult, Not with a full family. You're probably looking at maybe like $50 to $100. I know my bill is like $67. You see how much I know, like specifically, I'm like, my water bill is $67.03. Yeah. Okay, so let's say $50 for that. So we've covered water. Okay. What other type of bills do you have for house? Let's talk about electricity, gas bill, right? Okay. So electricity, what type of numbers are you guys seeing? Okay. Electricity, 165, 150. Yeah, that seems to be the ballpark. Okay, 80. All right, let's go ahead and meet in the middle. Let's do 100. Gas bill. Now, I've actually never had a gas stove. I've only had electric. So you guys are going to have to let me know on that one what that's typically like. 35. $5. Okay. Okay, so 35, $50. Okay, great. And okay, not 5. HOA dues. Now, I guess if we're paying on a monthly basis, that could be anywhere from $50 to $100, just depending on what type of neighborhood you're living in. Let's go ahead and just do 70. All right. So that's going to be on the housing. Next is transportation. How are we getting from point A to point B? All right. So we have a car note. Let's say the car note is maybe $250. Just guessing. 35 a week in gas. Yeah, that's the reality right now. Let's give ourselves $100 budget for gas. Just I want that car. Yes, ma'am. Let's see. Maintenance. Now, maintenance is not going to be a monthly thing. Hopefully, you don't need your tires rotate every month and oil change every month. But I would kind of budget maybe $20 a month so that every 3 months or so you have the money towards that $25. Maybe that'll be a little bit more safe and realistic. And then I don't know if you guys are taking tolls or not. Let me know. I actually really had to put tolls in my budget once I realized I was going across town. It took $20 to get, to one place. Oh yeah, car insurance, super important. Okay, I would say $20 is pretty safe on tolls as well, especially if you're doing it just kind of here or there. $20 car insurance. Car insurance, let's say about $120. Okay, so just taking a look at that, we're at about 44% of our income. We haven't gotten to food yet, so let's figure out how much we're going to be spending there. Life insurance. Yes. Okay. I do have that underneath the insurance tab. So we're going to get there really shortly. All right. Let's talk about groceries versus eating out. Right now, we're going to go ahead and fill in groceries because that is a need. And then we'll double back and see if we have anything left over for eating out. So what do y'all think for groceries? I know at one point I was able to fill my whole fridge and pantry for less than $100 a week. One person, almost $200 since prices are going up. Okay. So for the month, let's say, is it safe to say like $450 for the month? That kind of gives you like $125. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Electricity bill, I believe we already took care of. Yes, we did. So I'll go ahead and delete it here. $500. Yes. Okay, great. Okay. So next is going to be insurance. I believe we did car insurance. So next would be life insurance. That one, it just depends on the person. I've seen life insurance for as low as like $20 a month. And maybe as high as like $150. Health insurance, yes, super important. Are we including things like laundry detergent and cleaning supplies? Yes, all of that would be in your groceries. So life insurance, let's just say that's about $50. And health insurance, you guys let me know on that one. Okay, perfect. So we have covered housing. We have transportation. We didn't fill in car insurance yet. Oh, there we go. We did fill it in. Okay, we have food to eat in the fridge. Let's see if there's anything else that is a necessity. Okay. All right. So looking at the chart, we have about 44% towards housing, 11% towards food. And then we can go ahead and start filling in some of our wants. So let's work on lifestyle and see where we're at. So next is going to be, okay, insurance bill. I would say I pay about $50. Let me know if that's a little realistic on internet, sorry. Okay. Phone bill, maybe 75. We're talking about just for you. Clothing, those are more so wants. Extracurricular, please let me know, the person who was mentioning cheer, if you want to include extracurricular, we can go ahead and put that in as well, if it fits the budget. Books, supplies, how much are we spending a month on that? $172. Okay, let's just do like one extracurricular for kid, maybe 100. Okay, let's meet in the middle. All right. Okay, so what about, just self-care, maybe getting your hair done, keeping up with your nails within budget? What are you guys thinking there? $100, I think that's pretty fair. Okay, and then clothing, that's kind of a case-by-case basis, depending on how often you shop for clothes. Okay, so let's just say maybe $50 there. Perfect. So the categories that we haven't quite touched on yet is going to be emergency fund, philanthropy, and eating out. We also haven't talked about any debt payoff yet or credit cards, medications. Okay, that'll go in health. Okay, maybe like $40 a month. And that's on things like vitamins, medications. Okay. All right, so let's talk about debt payoff. Remember, in our 50, 30, 20 budget, it was 20% of our income. So what are you guys thinking on that? And you let me know if you want to do credit cards or possibly other loans, personal loans. Okay. So I think it's safe to do, these numbers are kind of average, I would say, maybe $100. All right, awesome. Payment on credit card with $3,000 balance around 150. Okay, great. All right. I think another category that some people like to add is called a fun money, where you just have money allocated to just whatever you want. If you have a passion for books and you want to buy books, you want to go to the bookstore because you love it, you kind of have that in the category. And it's a category where you're giving yourself a lot of grace. You're allocating money to the things that you love. For me personally, in the past, it's been like going to the dance studio. I love to dance in my free time. So I would allocate maybe $50 to that category. And so I don't know what you guys' passions are or your hobbies, but I think there's also, we can allocate some money there as well, if you like. Looks like we have $490 left to budget for the month. Netflix, Audible, Amazon. Yes. Okay, let's get into it. I love to shop. No, it's not unhealthy. It's just, if you can fit in your budget, you're good to go. Okay, so Netflix, okay, let's say subscriptions. We have quite a few subscriptions, maybe $50 for those. Okay. Awesome. We have $440 left to budget. I know we still have eating out category as well as emergency fund. Let's talk about how much we're going to be saving this month. And then also giving, if that's something for us to do. There's also another category I always add is like gifts, just in case it happens to be Mother's Day or somebody's birthday. So I always try to fit those in my budget as well. So how much are we saving this month? Let's talk about it. $100, $200. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and save $150 in the middle. All right, if we have any gifts, birthdays, maybe $100. Okay, and let's make sure we've covered everything. Left we have is philanthropy, which that's an option. If we're doing any home repairs, eating out, I don't know about you guys. I don't spend $700 a month anymore on food, but I do still spend money on food. That's not going to go away. It's just going to be kind of adjusted. So eating out, let's say maybe $100. I'd say that's maybe safe for if you want to go out like once every weekend or something like that. Starbucks, right? Okay. So we have $90 left. Where do you guys want to put it towards? We still have book supplies and we have fun money. Okay, tithes. Oh yeah, that's a really good one. So that's giving. All right. Let's do $50 there. Pet care. Okay. I believe that would be lifestyle. Okay, awesome. All right. So I believe with this budget, and as you can see at the top, it says it's an every dollar budget. That means that every single dollar has been advocated to a category. $50 are for pet food. Okay. So we can do 50 here. We just have to take 10 off somewhere else. And this is where you would be kind of going back and forth in your budget to say, okay, do I really need this month? Okay, I can wait till next month. And that's the type of conversations that you start having. But all in all, you guys have done amazing. Thank you so much for interacting on this portion of the presentation. But as you can see, this is a zero-based budget. We have completed it. And I think it's a pretty balanced lifestyle. I mean, you have your needs. We've kind of, we're watching Netflix a little bit. We're doing a little bit of shopping. Okay, we have internet. We're taking ourselves out for self-care. So the point of this part of the presentation is just to show you guys how well-rounded a budget can be and that it doesn't have to just be so strict. You can find a way to fit in some of the things that are important to you on a month-to-month basis. So, all right, great job. And like I said, this is the zero base. All right, so let's go ahead and hop back over to the presentation. All right. A few more things I wanted to leave you guys with is how to never miss a bill payment. A few things that are super important is always keeping your income over your expenses and spending less money than you make. Another thing is going to be knowing your dates, whether you're writing them down, you're putting them in your phone, just knowing, okay, today is the 18th of the month. I have this bill due. The first of the month is coming up. I want to make sure I have money for this. And then also there is a way where you can pay bills bi-weekly. I know personally, the method that has worked for me is when I get paid, I go ahead and pay my bills that day. And then I just kind of deal with everything else that are like my wants later in the month. So it just depends on what works for you. How to save for an emergency fund is going to be setting a date and amount. So you have to decide, okay, how much do I want to save? And then by when, right? Identify how much of your income you can save. And this may be a situation where you are, cutting out some unnecessary expenses for a certain amount of time so that you can reach that goal. You're going to want to budget monthly to include the savings, right? We're going to put the savings in the budget. So that is not a thing where you're like, oh, I'll just save whatever's left over, and then nothing's left over. And then you're unable to save. And sometimes what helps is putting your funds in a separate account or a safe place where you don't see them. I know with my bank, there's a feature where you can like hide your savings account, or you can hide certain accounts. So when you log in, you actually don't see it. And you have to kind of go through some extra steps to look at that money. All right. A few more good habits for finance, just in general, you guys have been great, is checking your bank account balance, right? So in the mornings or however often you want to, just log in and just seeing where you stand. Sometimes in our mind, we have a assumption that there's more in our account than there actually is. Maybe something went through overnight or over the weekend, a charge came out. And so it's always good to not overspend in the sense that you know exactly where you stand from day to day. Second is setting up security alerts in case there are any unauthorized charges. In the world that we live in, and I will say from my experience with working in banking in the past, is that there's a lot of fraudulent activity going on. If you actually don't look at your account, you may not know that, someone has charged your card, or maybe your card's been compromised. And so you keeping an eye on your finances and your bank account is going to help you identify those things so that you can dispute those with your bank. All right, next is setting a budget monthly and reviewing it at the end. They say that the whole budgeting situation, when you get into it, it probably takes about 3 months to get used to your budget. So if the first month comes and you set the budget, but you don't follow it, just keep going, because eventually it's going to just become part of your life. And then lastly is sharing your goals with someone that you trust, accountability partner. I'll say when I was saving up my first 10K, I let my family know, I let my friends and my coworkers know, hey, don't invite me to the mall. Don't invite me out. If we're going to eat together, come over, I'll cook, something so where the people around you are not tempting you to spend more money while you're trying to reach your goals. And I wanted to send you guys off with some homework, right? Take a picture of this, write it down if you need to. I want you to find out where you are right now. Be very honest with yourself, right? Honesty hurts a little bit sometimes, but it's needed for you to understand where you are so that you can go where you want to. Identify your life goals. Your life goals are going to align with your financial goals. So figuring out what you want in the next 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Picking a budget method that works for you. You can try one. If you don't like it, try another. Like I said, I have tried literally all of these. At some point in my life, I was following one of these. And then review routinely and repeat. All right. So let's talk. Do we have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So usually the problem I have is that when I set a budget for the month, because I live with roommates, like we're four in the house. So usually we just split money when we're buying things that everybody would use, like the washing machine soap or the dishwasher soap. So things like that, I don't expect those needs to come. And so most times I have to take money out of my budget and I end up overspending. So what would you advise or recommend that I do? Because it really messes up my budgeting and saving.
Okay, that makes sense. And I can understand because that type of expense is not just something that you control. It's something that's like a group. So I think the best thing is honestly like communicating with your roommates and saying, hey, you guys, how much is this going to be on a routine basis, or what's the range amount that it's going to be? And then you just kind of, fitting that in your budget or breaking it up into a certain amount of months, however much it's going to be. But just knowing how much you can kind of move things around ahead of time so that you don't have any surprise expenses. That's the point, is to not be caught off guard as much as possible with the type of expenses that we have.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more question.
Of course.
I kind of joined late, but in the last slide, you said that we should pick the type of budgeting that works for us best. Mm-hmm. So are there different types? Because I didn't meet that part.
Okay, yeah, of course. So the different types of budgets are, you have the envelope method where you're writing out the different categories of your expenses onto envelopes and you're putting cash in those envelopes. So when you're going out and you're paying a bill or going out to groceries, you're taking the envelope with you and only using the money that's in that envelope. The second option is going to be the Excel sheet. So that's where you're listing everything out and then putting the amount so you're able to kind of clearly see and calculate how much you have in income versus how much your expenses are. The third type is going to be your digital option. So the Mint app, the Every Dollar app. And then fourth, I believe, was handwritten. So if you're the type of person who just wants to kind of take out a sheet of paper and just list things out, add, subtract, scratch things off, if you're more hands-on, then that may be a good option for you.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know of a digital option that allows for multiple users? I do. There is a YouTube channel. I watch a lot of content, you guys. There's a YouTube channel. I believe he's a minimalist. He calls himself a minimalist, but he talks about finance and, just kind of living in your means. And he explained how he uses an app called Notion. It's actually used as like a planner or note-taking. And he uses it with his wife. So they're able to like both log into Notion and kind of like edit together. But also I think another option might be something like a Google Drive, maybe Outlook, something to where both of you guys can log in and edit at any time and kind of see any updates that are made. That's probably going to be a good option unless you decide to do the Mint app or the Every Dollar app where you share a login. So if you're doing budgeting with someone, I think that would be a good option. And the YouTube channel, don't quote me. I know his name is like Robert or something. It's like minimalism videos. Minimalism. Robert Blake, I believe. Okay, there we go. Anybody else have any questions, any concerns? I really want to help you guys, through your budgeting roadblocks that you have, whether they're mental or just numbers wise. If you have any questions.
Micha'ela, this has been amazing. While we're waiting for a couple of questions, I'm not cutting off the questions by any means. So folks, if you have questions, please still pop them into chat. I really appreciated your different breakdown of the different the types of budgeting, because and like the zero-based budgeting, like that's one thing that I think you hear a lot, but actually seeing it in action was really cool. So thank you for that activity.
Of course.
And just a reminder for everybody, I'm going to remind everybody, but that this is going to be available for playback on the Student Life YouTube channel. So if anybody did hop in late and miss anything, you'll be able to see all the breakdowns that Micha'ela offered when it's available for the recording. Any other questions before we do our official wrap up? I'm just seeing the thank yous flooding in. This is also such great information that I think, just everybody, we miss it somehow, right? Or we just need that reminder. So let me, okay. All right. So it looks like we're at a good place for a wrap up. Micha'ela, if anybody does have any questions, is there a way that either they can reach out to you or a way that they can follow up for more information? What's the best way for them to do that?
Yes. So I have a few options I'm going to be dropping in the chat. I have a page on Instagram. You can follow. It's Live Life Millennials. So I drop like daily information. I go live sometimes or just posting on the stories, but just information that I think will help you guys. Also, let me go ahead and drop my email address. If you have any other questions, these are probably the best ways to reach me, and you can message me anytime and I'll be able to help.
And so just for folks watching the recording, that's livelifemillennials@outlook.com. Awesome. Thank you so much again. I'm just going to do a little bit of wrap up and then we will be good to go. So thank you everybody for coming today. Thank you so much, Micha'ela, for all of this fabulous information and reminders of things that we should be sitting down and having a look at. For everybody, this is the first part of kind of a 1-2 financial punch, because next week with Life Hacking 101, we're going to be doing, with our wrap-up session for Life Hacking 101, we're going to be doing a session all about credit, called Credit Common Sense, where we're going to have a discussion about building and handling credit. So I know in our budgets, we were talking about how much are we going to give to those credit cards. So let's talk about credit as a whole. And I do have some announcements on behalf of Student Life. So again, just a reminder, this event will be available for playback via our Student Life YouTube channel. Attendees, you will get an email with the link once it is ready. All attendees who stayed for the entire event will be placed in a raffle, and there's 3 $25 gift cards that will be awarded to winners. So please be on the lookout for an email. Winners will be notified via your student email. And if you are attending this event for Eagle Points, they will be awarded within 2 business days of this event. And those of you who don't know what Eagle Points are, by attending different student life activities throughout the semester, you can earn these Eagle Points, and they are cash inable at the end of the semester for goodies.
Oh, sorry. So
Go ahead.
sorry. I don't know how to access the Eagle. Those are the swoop points, right?
The Eagle Points, yes.
Yeah. Are they the swoop points?
I believe so. So I'm not Student Life. I don't know if Dominique is here to field this question. But I believe that, yes, that they're the same thing.
Because I don't know how to access it.
Okay, I am going to pop an email address in the chat for Dominique Brown, and she is going to be your best point of question for that. If you'll send her an email, she'll let you know all about it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. And I see the question, what if we joined a little bit late? I don't know what the parameters for being here the whole time means. I imagine there's like a couple of minutes leeway on either side. But again, if you want to see the recording, it'll be available on the YouTube channel. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody. Thank you again, Micha'ela. I wish you all a most wonderful week. And I hope you all get back in the groove after the spring break. We hope to see you next week for Credit Common Sense. Thank you so much, everybody.